Hey YouTube, tonight I'm going to make a video about indigo children. The reason I'm making this video is in the past I've done a lot of research on indigo children when I was first learning about the topic. I went on a lot of websites, I read a lot of books, I read chapters in different books about the subject, and then I decided to go on YouTube to see what I can find. And I did find a decent amount of videos on the subject, a wonderful video by Doreen Virtue. You have to check it out, look her up, she explains it beautifully. But what I didn't find was a video about indigo children from an indigo child. I do believe that I am an indigo child, and I know I have definitely met other indigo children, some being my friends, some being people I've just met briefly. And I think it's a possibility for more people than what we believe or what we think. And I just want to share that with everyone. I'm making this video because before I found out and read about indigo children, I myself thought I was crazy. I thought I was alone. I felt different. I didn't really connect with anyone in school. I didn't really have any close friends. I did have maybe like 3 close friends, but we didn't really connect on a certain level. So I'm going to start off by giving you characteristics, brief descriptions of indigo children and patterns that you may find, and maybe some of these will relate to you. Okay. Indigo children have an indigo colored aura, hence the name indigo child. And they generally have a warrior spirit. They're very feisty people, feisty children. They won't settle for less than they deserve, that they believe they deserve. They won't be walked over. They won't be undermined. Even as a child, you might have a child who just speaks their mind like that. They don't even think about it. They have absolute confidence. Generally have absolute confidence. Don't think that if you don't really have that much confidence, oh, oops, you're not an indigo child. It's not true. These are characteristics that we all don't share all of them. We share some of them. Each person's going to have maybe 5 or 6 of the characteristics, or maybe 3. Doesn't mean you're not an indigo child if you don't have absolute confidence. Just wanted to clarify that. That's what I believe. They can tell when someone's lying to them. Always know. It's like they have a built-in lie detector inside of them. They have difficulty with discipline and authority. They refuse to follow orders. They find it torture to wait in lines. They are mostly nonconformist, and they do not respond to guilt trips at all. They want good reasons for what's going on. They don't want to be manipulated. They won't be manipulated, and they know when they're being manipulated. They are really creative in writing and art, music. It could be anything. It doesn't have to be restricted to a category. They may seem antisocial if they're not around children like them, which is what I was saying. In school, I didn't really feel connected to anyone because they weren't like me. I didn't have the pleasure of knowing a fellow indigo child at school. They're very gifted and or highly intelligent. They're suspected of having ADD and ADHD. Being an indigo child happens to mimic some of the criteria for diagnosing a child for ADD or ADHD, but I will get in detail with that another day or another video. And they have very old, deep, wise-looking eyes. They have spiritual intelligence and or psychic skills and abilities. Usually they're born with them, but if their families or guardians aren't careful, and they may discourage these gifts, but that doesn't mean that they're gone. They're just dormant. Can still be released. You can still have these abilities. You just have to nourish them and remember them. And they often express anger outwardly. I'm guilty of this. I have been known to have a bad temper since I was a child. Very bad temper. I still do, but I have learned through meditation, visualization, and just growing as a person, excuse me, to not let this anger like take control of me. It's possible. Having like anger problems or the need to act out your anger is not a permanent characteristic of an indigo child. That can be mended, so to speak, but it is a characteristic. Okay, indigo children, they need our support to discover themselves, especially children, especially when they're about 3 to 5 years old and they're starting to discover things. Maybe they're talking to angels, or they're talking to spirits, or their spirit guides. Sometimes family members and guardians and parents discourage these abilities because they don't understand it. What these children really need is support right now. If you have a child that you believe may be an indigo child, or you're on this website and you're watching my video and you're just trying to figure things out, if you believe your child's an indigo child, you need to support them. Go out to Barnes & Noble or whatever bookstore is in your area, buy a book on the topic, read it. You need to help your children. Also, what is very evident, they are very, very sensitive to the foods they eat. They could have an allergy to sodium nitrate, for example, which is in cured meats like canned meats or cold cuts, things like that. And they're allergic to food dyes, any preservatives, you never know. The food they eat highly, highly affects them. They can become depressed, or maybe they can't pay attention in school because of the foods, not so much that have ADD or ADHD. About that, I have known, I believe that indigo children that are diagnosed with, sorry, my dog did that, it scared me, messing with my door. Anyway, children that have been diagnosed to have ADD or ADHD seem like they're not paying attention, but the thing is, they're paying attention to everything around them. There's just so much they are aware of, whether it be energies from people, energies from the environment around them, or even spirits, spirit guides, earthbound spirits, even spirits that may be accompanying the living in front of the child. For example, people can have a spirit guide of their late mother or grandfather with them, and these children might be able to see them, or feel them, or hear them, and they're constantly paying attention to everything around them that people can't see, that your everyday person can't see, so they think, oh, this child just can't pay attention to this topic right now because this child has a problem, he has a disorder. That is not necessarily true for these children. It is not true for these children. And what else am I trying to say? I don't know if I said this before, but they're believed to be born between 1970 and 1990. And my opinion, I believe they could be born between 1970 and year 2000. Because I don't want to say, oh, if you're born 1992, you can't be an indigo child. That's not true. I mean, no one can really say, oh, they stopped being born in 1970. I'm going to say 2000. Because there is another theory that crystal children are being born now. They are being born later, after the indigo children. The whole thing is the indigo children, with their warrior spirit and their need to make change, it's going to pave the way for these crystal children who are like indigo children, except they have, they're not so much, they're not angry. They don't have that temper. They don't have that feistiness, the warrior spirit. They are more peaceful children, at peace with the world, so to say. They understand the good in everything. They see the light in everything, and they have huge, gorgeous eyes, and they love crystals. They have this affinity for crystals, which is why they're called crystal children. And there's so much more detail on that. And what can I say? That's my video. My pretty much my introductory video on indigo children, and I will be making more on this topic and crystal children. So thank you for watching. Blessed be.